morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 2024 Management Day lecture of our great institute, the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered. The lecture is organized on the 19th of November every year by the institute to celebrate International World Management Day, instituted in the honor of the Austrian-born American management consultant, educator, and writer Peter Ferdinand Drucker. This day coincides with the birthday of this world-renowned management guru, and the institute has organized it every year to underscore the importance of management profession in all spheres of human endeavor and ramification of professional development. I am glad, honestly, I am glad that we all made it. Thank God for joining Mrs. and thank you all for coming. The program is hybrid and therefore it is holding here physically at the NECA House and on the Zoom platform. The theme for this year's management lecture, as we all know, is innovation and change management, fostering the culture of innovation in a rapidly evolving business landscape. And I can assure you it promises to be insightful. My name is Peter Onwaso, and I will be anchoring this program. It is my pleasure to do so with my amiable colleague, Ms. Eunice Adebayo. On this note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I ask that you join me in welcoming the President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Mrs. Christiana Vienna Tako, FNIM, MPOM, to lead us on the opening formalities. And I would want us to once again applaud her as she walks to the rostrum to lead us the national prayer, the national pledge, and the NIM Code of Conduct. Thank you so much.
Good morning, distinguished members of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered. Good morning, our dear invited guests. We will start with our opening formalities. We're going to start with a national prayer, which incidentally is the third stanza of the national anthem. We will take the pledge, and then we will together affirm our code of conduct. May we please rise. It's on the screen, so we'll do this together. The national prayer. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. The pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity, and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God. The reaffirmation of our code of conduct is only for members. So can we together reaffirm our code of conduct? And as you say I, please you mention your name to be committed to your oath. That I, Christiana Tako, as a professional manager, will put service above self and will ever seek to find and employ more efficient and more economical ways of getting things done. That I, Christiana Atako, as a professional manager, accept the most scrupulous and transparently honest and ethical process of thought for all decisions in my daily work and be myself free of any fraudulent and/or corrupt practices, and within my scope of authority, treat all persons as being equal and refuse to give special favors or privileges to anyone. So help me God. Thank you very much. Please be seated. If we look at the program, the next item is the welcome address. So I will just want to take this at once. I want to respectfully recognize and appreciate the Deputy President of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered, Commodore Bimbola O. Ayuba, retired, FNIM. You're welcome, sir. The National Treasurer, Dr. Raymond Neji Ihenacho, FNIM. Welcome. The Registrar and Chief Executive of the Institute, Mrs. Taiwo Olushesi, MNIM. Welcome, ma. I know you are the chief host. We have a guest speaker, Mr. Sheni Adetu, MNIM, the Group Chief Executive Officer, First Primus West Africa. You're welcome, sir, and thanks very much for accepting to share your wealth of knowledge and experience with us today. We can't wait to hear you out. Our past president who is here, very, very supportive, our own dear Asiwaju, Dr. Michael Olawale-Ko, CON, MFR, FNIM, CNIM. You're welcome, sir. And thank you for this great support. We don't take it for granted. And I know that our fathers, our past presidents, many of them are online, and they indicated that they will support us with their presence virtually. And in NIM, characteristically, we like to respect hierarchy. And I'm going to take the names of our past presidents in the order they ran the affairs of the Institute. I'm going to start with Dr. Michael Omolayole, FNIM, CNIM. Thank you, Daddy, for always being there for us. Olola F.O. Ogunlano, FNIM, CNIM. Thank you, the Chairman of Body of Past Presidents. His Excellency, Dr. Christopher Kolade, CON, FNIM, CNIM, our father indeed. Mrs. M.R.A. Adeleke, OON, FNIM, CNIM, the first female president of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered. Mr. A.A. Adenubi, FNIM, CNIM. Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar, FNIM, CNIM, MFR. Dr. Mrs. Sally N. Aduku Bolujoko, OON, FNIM, CNIM. Dr. Nelson U.O. Uwaga, MNI, FSPN, FNIM, CNIM. Emeritus Professor Munzali Jibril, FNIM, CNIM, OFR. Professor Lukule Yonda, FNIM, CNIM. Mrs. Pat E. Anabo, FNIM. Distinguished council members and fellows of the Institute, our royal fathers and traditional rulers here present, MDs and CEOs of NIM corporate members and other companies and organizations, respected members of the Institute, management and staff of the Institute, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted and honored to welcome you all to the 2024 Management Day Lecture of our great institute. This year's edition is the 14th in the series of this yearly event, which started in 2011. Thank you for choosing to be here despite other engagements competing for your time and attention. This shows the importance you attach to this program and the Institute. Thank you for coming. Management Day is one of the activities of the Institute that is very dear to our hearts because of what it represents. It is a platform that celebrates the ideals and tenets of the management profession. Apart from also being an opportunity to appreciate the Nigerian manager and the contributions of the Institute to the development of the profession and the nation, Management Day has equally been an avenue to critically examine the challenges of management practice and proffer solutions in line with international best management practices to achieve management excellence. This annual event also provides us the opportunity to address the issues of integrity, accountability, probity, honesty, efficiency, effectiveness, and dedication to duty, which are the most important factors for the growth and efficiency of the Nigerian economy. Although the first 5 editions of Management Day were initially held on the second Tuesday of April, November 19 was eventually settled for, starting from 2015, as the date for Management Day celebration to coincide with the birthday of the widely acclaimed founder and father of modern management, Professor Peter Drucker. In addition to giving the celebration an international appeal and acceptability, we believe that this will also give credibility to our request to the United Nations to declare November 19 as the World Management Day. We wish to seize this moment once more to call on the federal government to support this laudable initiative of the Institute by recognizing and declaring November 19 as Management Day in Nigeria. We believe that apart from being seen to be supporting good initiatives of organizations like the Nigerian Institute of Management, the United Nations will be persuaded to also declare November 19 as World Management Day if the federal government kickstarts the Nigerian version immediately. We are convinced that setting aside a day for the celebration of management profession in Nigeria and the world over is a right step in the right direction. This, in our view, is needed more than ever before, is needed now. Management is life, and the importance of entrenching the ethos of good management is crucial in our everyday lives, starting from the home front to the workplace and the larger society. We strongly believe that an issue as important as management, which is very critical to the survival of man and his everyday life, the workplace, the society, the economy, and the nation, deserves to have a day to celebrate it. We will therefore not relent in our effort to get World Management Day recognized and declared by both the federal government and the United Nations. In furtherance of the Institute's resolve to ensure that proper management practices are imbibed and entrenched in both the workplace and in the management of economies, the theme of this year's Management Day lecture, Innovation and Change Management, Fostering the Culture of Innovation in a Rapidly Evolving Business Landscape, was settled for. In the same vein, a renowned boardroom maestro, management professional, and public affairs analyst, Mr. Sheni Adetu, MNIM, a former managing director of Guinness Nigeria PLC, and current Group Chief Executive Officer, First Primus First West Africa, was chosen as the guest speaker. Sir, you're welcome. We're very happy when we saw you here. In today's rapidly changing business landscape, innovation has become the cornerstone of success. As markets shift, technologies advance, and consumer expectations evolve, organizations must adapt and innovate to remain competitive and relevant. The ability to embrace and drive innovation has never been more crucial for individuals and businesses. Innovation is the catalyst that thrusts businesses forward. It is the process of generating fresh ideas, creating novel solutions, and implementing cutting-edge technologies to resolve complex challenges. Whether it is a startup disrupting an industry or an established corporation seeking to revamp its offerings, innovation is the driving force behind growth, profitability, and sustainability. Creating a culture of innovation within an organization is a multifaceted endeavor that requires commitment and collaboration at all levels. Recognizing innovation encourages a continuous pursuit of creative solutions. Embracing innovation offers professionals a plethora of personal and career benefits, such as engaging in innovative projects, honing skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, and adaptability, all of which are highly sought after in today's job markets. It is pertinent to point out that demonstrating a commitment to innovation positions individuals as forward-thinking leaders. It showcases the ability to anticipate and address challenges, setting the stage for career advancement. In innovative environments, professionals collaborate with diverse teams, opening doors to new connections and expanding professional networks. So just as contributing meaningfully, innovation fosters a sense of accomplishment and purpose, increasing job satisfaction and overall well-being. Organizations that prioritize and nurture innovation gain a competitive edge. This is because innovative culture enables organizations to adapt swiftly to changing market conditions and seize emerging opportunities. Forward-thinking companies become magnets for top talents seeking to be part of groundbreaking initiatives. Innovation engenders customer-centric solutions as it allows organizations to develop products and services that precisely meet customer needs, enhancing customer loyalty and retention. Pioneering innovation establishes a leadership position for an organization within the industry, making it command respect and attention from competitors and stakeholders. Innovation, therefore, is not just a buzzword. It is a driving force that propels individuals and organizations to new heights. Embracing innovation is essential for remaining competitive, fostering growth, and making a lasting impact. By cultivating a culture of innovation, professionals and organizations can navigate change with confidence, capitalize on new opportunities, and leave an indelible mark on the business landscape. Change management, on the other hand, is a systematic approach to transitioning individuals, teams, and organizations from a current state to a desired future state. It involves managing and supporting people through organizational change, ensuring minimal disruption and maximum benefits. Leadership and sponsorship, communication and stakeholder engagement, training and development, organizational design and restructuring, cultural alignment and transformation, process improvement and implementation, risk management and mitigation, as well as monitoring and evaluation are key components of change management. Improved employee engagement and retention, enhanced customer satisfaction, increased productivity and efficiency, better decision and problem solving, reduced resistance to change, improved communication and collaboration, increased adaptability and resilience, as well as better return on investment are some of the benefits of effective change management. It has to be pointed out, however, that change management is faced with some challenges, such as resistance to change, communication breakdowns, lack of leadership commitment, insufficient training and support, cultural barriers, technological challenges, stakeholder resistance, and sustaining change over time. Change management strategies involve clear communication by transparently sharing vision, goals, and progress, stakeholder engagement that involve employees, customers, and partners, embracing flexibility and adaptability, encouraging feedback and iteration, and having the emotional intelligence to address resistance and support employees. Fostering a culture of innovation and change management, therefore, is crucial for businesses to thrive in today's rapidly evolving landscape. Today, our guest speaker, Mr. Sheni Adetu, has all it takes to take us through the theme of this year's Management Day lecture. Indeed, we are counting on his rich experience in boardroom, management, and leadership matters, which has adequately prepared him for today's task to successfully navigate us through the theme. In conclusion, I want to especially recognize and appreciate Dr. Mrs. Sally Nkem Aduku Bolujoko, FNIM, CNIM, who kickstarted the celebration of Management Day during her tenure as President and Chairman of Council, Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered. In addition, I would also like to commend two of the founding fathers and past presidents of the Institute, Dr. Michael Omolayole, FNIM, CNIM, and Olola Frederick Ogulano, FNIM, CNIM, both of whom have been in the forefront of our quest to actualize the Declaration of Management Day by the federal government of Nigeria on the one hand, and World Management Day by the United Nations on the other. To these giants of our institute, we are grateful for their belief in and continued support of the ideals and tenets of Management Day. The Institute is also grateful to individuals and organizations that contributed towards making the event of today a success through monetary and material support. I wish to specially mention Mr. Aban Eka Williams, the Honorable Commissioner for Power, Cross River State, Mrs. Bolanle Moraino, wife of the immediate past president of the Institute, late Major General Abdullahi Moraino, retired, FNIM. Our gratitude also goes to Linkage Assurance PLC and AB Offshore Marine. While we appreciate your kind gesture and solicit for more collaboration in future, we encourage other well-meaning individuals and organizations to key into this mutually beneficial relationship with the Institute in the years ahead. Once again, I appreciate your presence here and assure you that this will be a very fruitful experience for all of us. Thank you for your attention, and God bless you all.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to unpack from the address our president just gave. One that struck out to me, she said, innovation engenders customer-centric solution as it seeks to meet consumer needs by preferring solutions to the pain points, thereby creating solutions with lasting impacts, which in turn leaves an indelible mark on the business landscape. I think as a process, an advocate for process improvements, that is very apt and very correct. Let's put our hands together again for our President and Council, Mrs. Christiana V.N. Atako. I'm here to recognize us this morning, our guests, starting with our President and Chairman of Council, who has just given an address, Dr. Mrs. Christiana V.N. Atako, FNIM, NPOM, our Deputy President, Commodore Abimbola O. Ayuba, retired, FNIM, here present. National Treasurer, Dr. Raymond Neji Ihenacho, FNIM, also here present. Our Registrar Chief Executive, Mrs. Taiwo Ganiat Olushesi, MNIM. Our guest speaker, Mr. Sheni Adetu, MNIM, Group Chief Executive Officer, First Primus, West Africa. I think they deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much. Also recognizing our past presidents and to the ones present here this morning, Dr. Mrs. Sally N. Aduku Bolujoko, OON, FNIM, CNIM. And Ashiwaju Dr. Michael Olawale Ko, CON, MFR, FNIM, CNIM. Also recognizing our distinguished council members and fellows of the Institute. Also like to recognize Mr. Tunji Oyebanji, MNIM, MD CEO, 11 PLC. Thank you for joining us this morning, sir. Also like to recognize our royal fathers and traditional rulers, MDs and CEOs of NIM corporate members and other companies and organizations. I'd like to recognize the respected members of the Institute, the management and staffs of the Institute, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. Moving on, I'd like to please invite to the stage our guest speaker for this morning, Mr. Sheni Adetu, MNIM, Group Chief Executive Officer, First Primus, West Africa, as he gives his keynote speech this morning. Mr. Sheni Adetu, a former MD CEO, Guinness Nigerian PLC, has about 35 years of sound private sector experience, garnered at the highest levels, primarily with John Holt's PLC, Coca-Cola International, Diageo PLC, and within the banking industry as a non-executive. In various countries within and outside Africa, he holds a BSc in chemical engineering and master's in business administration with specialization in marketing, both from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. He has served on the boards of various multinational companies in executive and non-executive director capacity, and as non-executive director at Fidelity Bank PLC, First Bank Holding, FBN Holding PLC, Tower Aluminium PLC, and Topco Petena UK, amongst others. He is in addition currently non-executive chairman at So Fresh Neighborhood Nigeria Limited. Mr. Adetu was at various times marketing director, Coca-Cola Nigeria Limited, managing director of Coca-Cola English West Africa based in Ghana, and the first African MD CEO and executive vice chairman of Guinness Ghana PLC. He was also Group MD CEO, East African Breweries, the biggest company in East Africa at the time, based in Kenya. He was subsequently appointed MD CEO of Guinness Nigeria PLC and executive chairman, Diageo Brands Nigeria, and thus became the first Nigerian in nearly 20 years to lead the company. I think he deserves that. During his executive career, Adetu had working stints, leadership programs in Hungary, the UK, and the USA. Adetu is the founder, executive chairman of Ogilvy Nigeria Limited and Algorithm Media Limited, two leading marketing communications agency in Nigeria affiliated to WPP, the world's largest advertising and media agency network. Adetu has many professional awards, including being runner-up Forbes CNBC CEO of the Year 2012 in East Africa. Please welcome with me our speaker for this morning, Mr. Sheni Adetu.
Thank you very much. Are there Akokites in the room? Yeah, one of the other things I'm so proud of is to say I'm a great Akokite. Great Akokites! Great Akokites! Great, 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 great. And you know why I'm so passionate about Akoka? To the glory of God, when I was serving as CEO of Coke and Guinness, I used to be in the midst of, obviously white people, and there was none of them that schooled in Africa. And then when they wanted to ask me where I schooled, they would say, did you go to Imperial or whatever? I said, I went to a bigger, better school than Imperial College. I went to University of Lagos. So that's why I'm so proud of that. But honestly, it's my pleasure to be here this morning. Can you hear me well? And honestly, I want to congratulate. I would like to start by standing on the existing protocol because we shouldn't be spending a lot of time talking about protocols. In fact, I was in Abuja all of last week, and we had the DG of NOAA, National Orientation Agency, talking about some changes they are making now. And I hope it is true. Meaning that if where people are sitting, doesn't matter how many governors are there, nobody is to be recognized other than just come in and speak. I said, are you sure you guys can do that? I said, you wait until they announce that any moment from now. Not only that, exactly, we're so interested if President BAT is sitting down and you are not recognizing everybody, just come on the stage and start talking. I want to see how we're going to enforce that. Not only that, as we were singing the three stanzas of the national anthem here, it was very clear. Not that somebody told me, I was in the room when he was delivering the speech last week in Abuja. It was very clear that going forward, only one stanza will be sung where we are gathering. That it's only on, did he say, National Military Army Day or some very special occasions, personal parade of something. Some very special occasions that will take the 2 or 3 stanzas. So I think that's innovation on its own. I think the federal government deserves a round of applause. Seriously, it's my pleasure to be here. My clicker is somewhere there. Is it with me? I think that I want to thank the president for inviting me. I honestly think that she's delivered my speech. And I don't say that very lightly. I am not a politician. As I listened to her, I was saying that it was either I stole her thoughts or she stole mine, or the thoughts are true. That was just the only way I could rationalize it. So well done, madam. And in fact, if the people behind me would attest to that, as we were speaking, I was stealing 1 or 2 words from you. I was adjusting my slides to reflect that you were more right than myself. So well done. And let me congratulate everybody. I want to recognize my daddy, Dr. Omolayole. I know he's one of the past presidents, maybe the first president of the institute. Somebody that I'm quite close to. I've been to his house many times, including for his 95th birthday. And then I also want to recognize my big brother here, Shuaju, my Egbon, that I don't know whether he likes me to say it or not, but I will say it. Even though he's 75, he's looking like 57. You see what I mean? 75 looking like 57. And I'm not a politician. I don't flatter people. I say it the way I see it. To be honest, we are very proud of you, and you should feel very proud of what you've done, sir. And by extension, all of our friends that are past presidents and all the custodians of the very good, thing that we call the Nigerian Institute of Management. I don't think that we value enough the efforts made by our past leaders who made sure that we had a thing like this. Because sometimes we don't recognize that what we are doing now is a benefit from the past that people, made happen. In fact, in the corporate world, we'd always talk about standing on the shoulders of giants. So sometimes, because you don't start from scratch, you don't know how tough it must have been in the past. We always pray that our children should be bigger than us. But the flip side of that is that sometimes they don't even recognize where you are coming from.
So I just want to say with emphasis that, we appreciate you, all of the past leaders that have contributed to where we are today. So let me just go ahead and start the presentation. Don't know whether if you can see my slide. There's this. I need to share my slide maybe. Let me go on Zoom. It's already been shared. Okay, how come they're not seeing it here? Okay. Are you sure it's mine you're sharing? Let's see if we can do it this way. You need to share the slides. If he shares it, I can control from here, right? Can you display the slides? Yeah, I can share mine. If you promote me as a host, just for him to share. Okay. Can you put it on the screen? But anyway, let me just start by saying that we're talking about innovation, and I could not be more inspired to have the opportunity to talk about this. Whatever reason, after my just about 3 years as CEO of Guinness Nigeria, sometimes when I go to places, people will say Mr. Origin. I feel so embarrassed about that, but I also thank God for that, because it was obviously when I was CEO at Guinness Nigeria that we launched Origin for the first time anywhere in the world. And after we launched Origin, believe me, every other market, certainly in Africa, started riding on the back of that. It got to a point, Origin as a brand was bigger than any beer or whatever brand that existed in Nigeria. It just took off like wildfire. In fact, to the extent, with the result that at some point, it was the single biggest innovation by value for Guinness worldwide, which means that there was no other innovation they had done that had as much impact in terms of generating, quality revenue and profit for the brand. It was so big, it was selling at about twice the price of lagers, and you could not just get enough. That's not where I wanted to start from, but I'm just saying that, innovation is something that is natural for me. It's what grew me in my career. Essentially, this is what I want to cover. Before we even talk about business, before we talk about innovation, why are we in business? Okay? So what's innovation? Dr. Ms. Zatako really defined it very well anyway. How do we embed the culture of innovation? I want to talk about that. Leadership that is required, and then we would round up. Next slide. But if people ask you why we are in business, if I may ask the audience, who knows why we're in business? Why do we even do business? To make money. It's as simple as that. To make money is as simple as that. And as I told them in Abuja last week, that even some of those companies that claim that they're doing CSR, it's just CSR. We're not doing this because we want to make money. If you look at the roots of the CSR they do, you find that actually it's CSR because they want to make money. So somebody who runs a beverage company and uses trucks every day goes to repair the road leading to their depot. They don't tell you that their depot is at the back of that road. They tell you, look at the road we have just done for the people. Everybody claps. CSR, good CSR. But actually, their trucks have to pass that road to go to the depot. Some other company will tell you that our own CSR is we drill water. We just drill boreholes for people. We drill boreholes. It's later you realize that they're a beverage company. They need water in that to go anyway. So, and there's no problem with that, because, like I said to people, doing good in the community helps good business. The only time it gets sour is when a company tries to pretend that they are a charity company and they're just doing it for charity reasons. I don't know any company that does CSR for charity reasons. If I sound controversial on that, give them my name. That this man is the one that said it. Ultimately, directly, indirectly, subtle, in a subtle way or not subtle way, it's intertwined, it's linked to, and that's why you will not see hardly somebody who is into beverage do a CSR of saying that they are supplying steel to an area. It doesn't make sense to them. But it's still good that they're doing it, because sometimes they don't do it, then there's no value to the community. But we're in business to make money. And how do we make money? Take your stuff out, let me control mine. Are you able to control now? Great. Next slide then. If you ask me what a successful company is, these are the things I'll tell you about that company. A successful company must be a company that is built to last. Sometimes somebody will say, that company was so good. I say, what's the name? Say, Archibisco. I said, how many cars are they selling now? They said, no, they've extinguished. They're not a good company. They're not a successful company. I was in the hall at Eco Hotel 3 years ago when Nigeria Bottling Company celebrated their 70th birthday. So they're about 73, 74 years now. That's a successful company. Doing business in Nigeria for 70 days is a lot of hassle. Doing it for 70 years, wow. Built to last. There must be something about that company. Second thing is that you are not a successful company if you cannot deliver numbers. Ultimately, business is about numbers. You have to deliver profit, return on investment, share value appreciation because you have shareholders. You have to deliver value for them. Okay? The other thing that I know, and I'm going to tell off story because that's what I think would engage you, is that to say you're a successful company or a successful business, you must be able to shape the industry in which you operate. I'll give you an example. I'm going to give tons of examples about real life story, by the way, because that's where I deliver my lecture. There was a day I was marketing director at the time in a Coca-Cola. They said to me, they called that some South Africans wanted to see me. I wasn't expecting them. So these two South African guys came into my office, Gerard Road. And they said, if you don't mind, can we ask you a few questions? I said, go ahead. He says, sorry, if you don't mind, what advertising agency do you use? I told them. What lawyers do you use? I told them. Who are your caterers? I told them. They asked me about 5, 6 questions. At the end of the day, I now said, but why are you asking me all this? He said, well, we are from South Africa. We're here to start a new business. We don't have time on our side. But we believe that whatever is good enough for Coca-Cola is good enough for us. Imagine. That's a successful company. Shaping the destiny of the industry, of the world. People say, oh, these guys, we trust them, their governance, their integrity is such that anything they are doing, we are happy to do the same without even knowing. So they didn't even know how I selected my lawyers. Say Coca-Cola is using them, then they are good enough for us. That's how you see a successful company. I could go on and on. Governance structure. In my company today, so when I finished at Guinness, I set up an advertising and a media agency, media agency, and we thank God that we're definitely in the top, top 3, top whatever in the country. But I can't even, as the founder of the company, the owner of the company, I can't go to my CFO and say it's Friday, give me 1 million naira. He has my authority to say no, but I won't even do it anyway. There has to be governance. My money, company money, separate. One day, I told her I'm going to tell you a story. One day, my wife came back and said, she had gone to a bank to seek for a loan for her company. And she met the person that happened to be account manager. And then when he asked, he said, you are Mrs. Adetu, do you know Mr. Sheni? And you're asking for this. You don't need loan. Go and meet your husband. We know. So when I got that, I was so disturbed in my heart. I was going to report to, incidentally, I know the MD very well. The CEO is a friend. On many grounds. First and foremost, well, thank God I wasn't even hiding anything from my wife. There's nothing I have that she doesn't know. But imagine you are in a relationship where you had, that sort of, thing with your wife, you are hiding. And this person saying that, go and there. But more importantly, the point about that, which is about governance, is that in that thinking, in that lady's thinking, doesn't even know the difference between somebody's personal cash and company cash. So I may have more than what she needed at that time. But I've decided that that's for the family. If it's a business, just so that everybody that works in that organization understands what that capital is from, you take it from a source that they give capital for business. But did you understand that? I was going to bury my father-in-law 2 years ago. One vendor, head that we were preparing, wrote to me, said, sir, the company is still owing me X amount of money, and I heard that you are about to bury your father-in-law. So I insulted the woman. It was a woman. It was something they delivered like a week before. I insulted the woman. I said, I don't know how you run your own business, but I do not need my company's money to run my father-in-law's, to bury my father-in-law. Why? Chinese wall between your company and yourself in relation to finances. Of course, the company will pay you, then you do the transfer. But what you manage on a daily basis for your personal stuff should be your personal account. Governance, that's how you know a company that's building to last. Is that making sense? We're going to talk about innovation, but I couldn't stand in front of you as a businessman and not share my thoughts on business and how you manage businesses. Next slide. Next slide, though. Eba mi be won. Eba mi be won. Come for the next slide. You know, let me control. You can't do that. Control now. You are keeping me 2 hours behind you. Dr. Mizatako talked about the changing landscape. The business world is changing. Consumers are changing. You can't believe it. We're so westernized. You can sit in your bedroom and see what is happening on the streets of US. The consumers are so discerning. Everybody knows what a good Chelsea jersey is versus a replica, as in a fake one. Even when you are paying for it, you know what you are paying for. That's how the world has changed. There's a joke, I don't know whether it happened. We're talking amongst our friends one time about a certain lady that went to ShopRite to buy, some dress. And then when they told her the price, she said, this dress, I know where they sell it in the US now. She said $19.99, $20. So even if your own exchange rate is, she calculated the exchange rate for the woman. And even if it's 2,000, that's this thing. Even if your margin is this, that is this thing. Even everything. So your price should not be more than, I said, That's how much she knew, and she was actually right, by the way. She knew how much that thing cost, and was now putting in the ladies, the owners' costs and all that to determine what the price should be. And that her point was that the thing was overpriced. The point I'm making is that taste for class, what the class experiences, consumers more discerning, they see what's happening outside the world. And next slide, competition. Next slide, competition everywhere. Name the industry, and I'll tell you how many players I know that operate in that industry. It doesn't matter whether it's a telco, a bank, or whatever. I just give examples here. There's competition everywhere. I'm building a case for why. Remember I said you are in business to make money. You have to grow shareholder value. And I've shown you some of the things that are happening with the consumers that are going to give you value. I'm telling you competition is there. There's this a little more than that. Next slide. So that you see why you want to go and think about innovation. That's this first few slides to ginger you to say innovation, like Dr. Mizatako said. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You don't do that, you're not going to live in terms of business. You can't build a business that will last if you don't do innovation now. So I'm setting the context for that. See what's happening in Nigeria. See what's happening in Nigeria. In that conference I went in Abuja, so somebody representing the minister spoke before me, and of course, politician played a very nice, things are bad, but not that bad type of thing. I spoke after him. I said, well, thank God I'm not a politician. I've never taken, which is true, I've never taken any business from government. I said, so can I talk? And I'll show them the next slide. Show this slide, next slide. Where I said, I believe in numbers. Even though I've been a marketer, business owner, and business leader, but I was trained as an engineer. I said, numbers don't lie. Look at the numbers in 2022. Everything is at least a 2x, maybe 4x. It depends of all of them. I said, I'm not a minister. You've said, yeah, things are not that bad. Because, we're talking about debt to GDP ratio and all of that. Who takes debt to GDP ratio to the bank? Who takes debt to GDP ratio to the market? Look at what you take to the market. Inflation. It means that if you bought something for 10 naira before, now that it's double X, you are paying 20 naira for that thing, and your salary has not grown at parity with that pace. Is somebody understanding me? That's what impacts what you let people call disposable income. What you can dispose is a function of what you earn versus what you must spend. What can you dispose? So I told them, there were, like I said, about 500 people in the room. I said, it's not a GDP I said, yeah, I know that. I know that from school. But these are the things that are impacting it. How about FX? 2 years ago, about a year ago, my daughter came to my room and said, Daddy, praise God. I mean, when children tell you that, you should praise God, but before you do that, ask them why. So when the daddy gets, come to my daddy gets, oh, praise God. I said, I just, may God forgive me, I praise God. I said, hallelujah. I said, but what is it? He said, I've just been admitted at Imperial College to do my master's. I said, hey, I knew that I'm in trouble with this daddy gets what, praise God. When I looked at the bill, she had 40,000 pounds. I'm not talking accommodation, I'm talking real life story. Google how much Imperial College does for business management. 40,000 pounds. By the way, even while she was telling me that, praise God, we had a deadline of a day to pay 10% of that 4,000 pounds. So I did do. And fortunately, that time, like I said last year, I still remember because I changed at 1,500 naira. Not even now that a pound is about 2,000 something. Yeah, somebody said 2,200. So I said, this, praise God, that this young lady is telling me, say, praise God, I'm going to get 60 million naira out of you. So then I realized that this is a tough praise God. But that's what we're dealing with. And thank God, at least that was the last one that I had to do. I can imagine people who are now putting children through that, or those that are stuck because some children are there already. They've done 1 or 2 years. They still have 2 more years. Bottom line, no deceiving ourselves, no glossing over it. Things are tough. Full stop. There's even no comma in it. And it doesn't matter if you are doing well relatively. You should know that things that, look, I told them in the conference, when I was flying out to Abuja for that conference, I got a text, somebody who was pleading for me, a member of the family, to support her with school fees. I got down when I opened my phone, a separate person, school fees as well. I had to show my colleagues, I said, this is now telling you that Abuja flight is not 6 hours. 2 messages for school fees within takeoff, landing, open your phone, put on your phone. That's how tough things are. Next slide. But I'm saying that you just have to think about doing things differently. So if I summarize all that, consumers are getting more aspirational. They want more. They want to pay less. They want to pay less. You as a businessman, your costs are rising. I'm setting the case of why you know to think differently. The innovation is about thinking differently, and I'm going to tell you what innovation is in a second. Technology has taken over, and it's not a question of whether you want to follow it or not. When I joined the board of Fidelity Bank, so I'm saying it so that I'm giving names. When I joined the board of Fidelity Bank some years ago, we were assigning branch targets to regional managers. Your target for number of branches that you must create this year is X. And if you are saying it's 10, you must create in first quarter. You've only opened 8 branches. You have to come and explain why you didn't open the other 2. Fast forward 4 or 5 years after. To open a branch, you have to come and justify why you need to open a branch. How is that possible? Before, we were knocking their head that you only opened 9 branches out of 10. What's your problem? Explain why you opened 9 out of 10. What happened to the 10th one you didn't open? Within 4 years, to open one, it's then that I had to come and beg the board. Because the board took a position that, with all these e-banking, electronic banking, even i-banking, instant banking, mobile banking, this banking, that banking, who needs the branch? Technology has taken over. So innovation is on. It's a question of whether you want to roll with it. It's not waiting. It's like an express train. And then I've talked about the harsh economics. A lot of you know about Jackpot. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Next slide. So, again, this is setting. Next slide, please. Setting the meaning for innovation. If you decide not to do anything, it is also something. It's like the ladders that you built. You don't do anything, they start breaking and falling one by one. And it's going to have its consequences. This is one of the easiest things to talk about when it comes about innovation and change management in business. If you catch yourself between a very bad way, look, let me give you an example. I told you I'm going to be telling stories. When I was CEO of Guinness in Ghana, for me as CEO of Guinness Ghana, at that time this was probably the biggest or second biggest company in Ghana. To get cash, they would insist, the Ghanaian banks that I was banking with, insist that I had to come to the bank. It was terrible. So when these other bank CEOs came into Nigeria to Ghana from Nigeria, GT, a few of them, UBA, Intercontinental came. There was Alex, this guy called Alex that was managing that. Nnamdi was UBA and all of that. We had a meeting. He said, look, there's a problem here, and with a little innovation, you will shine so much in Lagos that your next job will be CEO of the Nigerian bank. He said, what you need to do is have marketers determine the high net worth individuals. For crying out loud, why would I drive from Kinikon to Circle? They call the place Circle. Terrible traffic anyway. As CEO of Guinness, because I want to go and collect, I don't even know how much. And that's exactly what these Nigerian banks did. Talk innovation. They had marketers. In fact, it was so good that I would sit in my office and call my marketing account office that I need, let's say, the money was nonsense anyway, not at that time, wasn't good. Let's say I said I needed 1 million cedis. She will carry the 1 million cedis with her. She hasn't gotten a check, she hasn't gotten anything. I didn't know how they did it. But because they knew that it was a group of high net worth individuals. And it was when she delivered the cash, she got her check. So in the convenience of my office, I got what I needed versus the banks that were asking me to drive 2 hours, 1 hour to go, 1 hour to come. Then you know what happened? The Nigerian banks started easily outperforming the Ghanaian banks. With the result that they had to, Bank of Ghana, anyway, I'm speaking in the public, so I'm saying what I know, had to come up with a special capital requirement for Nigerian banks. Not even the ones that, even UK banks, Barclays was there then, and the rest were not even given that target. Because Nigerian banks knew how to operate when it comes to innovation. That's simple. I'm going to define innovation because sometimes when people think about innovation, you think it has to be something of a rocket science type. No. It's just about being wise as to how you do things. You know, and sometimes it takes competition to give you a kick in the right place for you to innovate. That's my own experience. Again, in Ghana, my son was 10 years. And before I left the house, I told him, I'm going to come back with a bicycle for you. That was there I learned my lesson that for kids, don't ask for anything. Don't tell them what you're going to do. Just do it and surprise them. Because if you promise them and you can't do it, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Adults can manage some of those sentiments. I just opened my mouth, said, today's your birthday. You know what I'm going to get you? A bicycle. I remembered that Ghanaian banks, companies, were closing. It was a Saturday. At 1 p.m. on Saturdays, they have innovated. I keep telling you, innovation is not just rocket science. It's just about thinking about how better to do things to get improvement in what I talked, the value creation. So, and I forgot, I was working. I just remember there was like 5 minutes to 1 p.m. The place was like 10 minutes drive where I was going to get in Saku. I was sweating. I ran there. As God will have it, or so I thought. The guy was just about to lock his shop. The guy was selling the thing. I said, I'm sorry to buy. We have closed. I said, these people, my Nigerian, with all due respect, because I'm saying it with a lot of credit, my Nigerian Igbo man, closed for where? Even when he's in Kano, you call him and say, you are in his shop, you want to buy a bicycle. He will tell you it's next door. But it's coming from Kano. I started begging this guy. He will not open the door to sell to me. I showed him cash. He will not open the door. Guess what? I went home with a tail between my legs. Not a problem. I was a CEO. Every time I met, and a big company for that matter, every time I met the ministers and all that, I told them that example. Before I left, they started closing at 4 p.m. I don't even know whether they've extended it now. A simple thing. Why would you assume that by 1 p.m.? And in any case, even if you are closing, somebody has cash. You are still in the shop, you have not left. I say, master, you know, my friends just, hello, master, say, we have closed. What it was, I said, we have closed. I said, Simone, say, what is it now? We have closed. I'm telling you the conversation. So I went home and I apologized to my son. I'll get the bicycle for you on Monday. Crap, that's not the way to do business. Next slide. So as much as there are those issues in Nigeria that some of which we can't control, if we focus on what we can do, there are still opportunities we can tap into. Next slide. I said I was going to define innovation only because when you think about innovation, don't necessarily think it's about something that is so big that in your little corner you cannot do. Innovation, anytime you hear the words like create, identify, improve, design, renovate, it's all in the family of what? Innovation. Whether you are creating a new product, you are discovering new one, improving what you have already. It's innovation. In fact, in the consumer world, at Guinness and at Coke, there's a word we had which is called renovation. And renovation is seen as part of innovation. Renovation is you have a nice bottle that has been there forever. It's not looking so good again. You change the bottle from one shape to another. You have renovated the brand. It's an innovation. Okay? And the reason I want to simplify it this way is so that when you hear innovation, don't say, I don't have the money for innovation. Sometimes innovation does not even require any money. I'm telling you, the ones that moved from closing at 1 p.m. to saying, oh, it's true, we can extend to 4 p.m. I'm not sure how much money that cost him. So that's where I see innovation. You know, innovative way to solve existing challenges. We had a challenge, the podium was there, was blocking people. Same movie said. It's another form of innovation. Next slide. And why do you need it? Most times when you do innovation, if you knew, and I'm going to tell you how to know that you need innovation. Okay? But if you do innovation right, what do you expect to see? You should see some growth. Your economic value should grow. You should see some competitiveness. So the guys who decided now that, okay, in fact, I didn't finish the story about the Nigerians that then started bringing account officers and all that. Don't be surprised if I tell you that within a few weeks and months, Ghanaian banks started employing and sending out marketing officers. So it would enhance your competitiveness. Sometimes, you see, the people that say that truth, that are honest, that say monopoly is a terrible thing. Because it brings that level of complacence that you even know that there are things you need to innovate. So competition helps, like I said before, to push some people into the realm, into the zone of innovation. But a wise person will proactively innovate. So sometimes, I learned that at Coke, when you said we used to present, every time that you are presenting, if it was a good result that you had, you're always saying, oh, I'm going to show you what worked. What worked. We did this, we did that, until one, my boss, white man, came and said, thank you. But even with your, let's say 80% performance, what didn't work? Every time you can think about what didn't work or what's not working, innovation will help you know that you need to do something differently. Most times it's what worked. What worked? So those are some of the things. And in terms of investments, you do it well, it should help you attract investment. If I see that you're a healthy company, I'm an investor, you are attracting me to come and invest in your business. Next slide. And look at that promote sustainability I talked about. When I was talking about can the business be sustainable over time? When you are rapidly innovating, you are keeping yourself fresh and new all the time. I cannot recommend innovation enough to you people. It doesn't matter what you sell. Let me shock you. There was a lady that was selling pure water. Just to let you know that innovation can, even critical thinking, smart thinking in itself is a form of innovation. Together with another one, both of them were selling in a street. They were not selling so well. Suddenly, one of them that had a little bit of sense for innovation did something I'm going to tell you now. And that one could not meet demand. She could just not meet demand. You know what she did? She went to NECA Stadium. I don't know if some of you watch football. You know where NECA Stadium is. And begged somebody for the schedule of matches that they have at NECA Stadium. So every day they have a match. And at that time, with us this Division 1, Division X, even Tuesday, Wednesday, they were having matches. She will carry her pure water to the stadium. Well, the opportunity with that is that the stadium guaranteed you what? I don't know, 10,000, I don't know, 20,000, whatever that number is. Or people who will be thirsty to take your pure water versus where you are sitting down and complaining that pure water is not a good product. And that's why I said to you before that innovation does not necessarily require that you have to spend tons and tons of money. Smart thinking. In fact, I want to spend a lot more time on that because I've taught innovation before where people have said, yeah, all that is good, but to do that you need so much money. Some innovation you need. When I did Origin, yeah, we needed some money. But if you remember what I said about innovation could even be improving your current systems based on better thinking. That's in itself innovation that can drive economic value to you. What do you need to do? to be able to position yourself well to do to execute, implement innovation. You need insight. You need to understand what's going on. Okay? And sometimes don't assume. I burnt my fingers many times when I assumed. There was a time when I was marketing director of Coke. We met in a room and were saying that Coke was doing so well amongst men. But women didn't want to drink Coke. They were not drinking Coke. They would prefer Fanta and all that. Coke was more profitable. So we said, we must find out why women were not drinking Coke. Put ourselves in the room. First problem we had was that all of us, except one lady, I remember that, Bosse Coca, she's called. The rest of us, probably about 10 of us, were men. I was leading the team. But we're trying to find to tell ourselves why women were not drinking football. Then somebody said, I got it. We said, what? He said, why are we surprised? How can they drink? I said, what now? He said, don't you know that every sponsorship that we do with football is for men? We said, that's actually true. Let's sponsor women as well. And let's see what will happen. We actually thought, good idea. Good idea. So I remember then, that was in the 90s. I think we invited, I think they're called Black Queens of Ghana, supported Super Falcons, National Stadium. Everybody in that place was still a man, except the 22 that were kicking the ball. Everybody was still a man. So when we came back the next day, we were very embarrassed. So we started asking, but fortunately now women follow football, right? I'm talking 98. Everybody in court. So we're saying that one of them said, dog is dog. Football is football. Whether it is whoever is playing it is men that follow football. You don't want to talk to me? Come and do a fashion show. You want to talk to me? Come and do a music this. You want to talk to me? Come and do this. We didn't have insights. So insights can be very important in driving innovation. These are things that you need to be able to drive innovation success. Partnership. Sometimes a lot of people are very skeptical about going into partnerships. I took a lot of things from my mom. May God bless her soul. But the one thing that she was alive, I'll be telling her that perhaps you didn't get this one right. Everything she said was perfect. But partnership, Shani, don't go into partnership with anybody. You know our people are very bad. You won't know when they put something inside there. You don't know whether that they will steal that. You won't know when that. So, but the truth of the matter is that there's a way you can run a partnership where as an owner of the business, you may not even be the manager of the business. Sometimes we can't differentiate between owner and manager. If you're in partnership with somebody, God bless the soul of Dr. Yemi Adefulu. You are his friend, and my brother there, you all know him. He and his partner, Senator Dujin, celebrated 50 years of partnership, like maybe about 4 years ago. Just about 3-4 years ago, something. 50 years of partnership. What partnership brings is that it helps you to minimize your own risk level. So there's shared risk, there's shared value. Our problem in Nigeria, and I said that in Abuja, is that everybody likes to say, I own it. I'm the owner, I own it. Can I tell you something? If you own 100% of something, and that thing is nothing, if it is zero, mathematicians will tell you that 100% of zero is what? Is zero. So you can own everything, you own nothing. In any case, I own 100% of it. When you go to the cashier at Access Bank, he's not going to ask you what percentage did you bring. They don't take percentages to the bank. She's going to ask you, how much money did you bring? And we should be wise enough to know that at times, 10% of something is bigger than 100% of another. If you're a mathematician, you understand that. 10%, depending on the base, 10% of one can be bigger than 100%. So I believe very much in partnership. In fact, the presentation I made in Abuja last week was about, I was making a case for consolidation within the marketing agency industry. Saying that, having 1,000 agencies, when South Africa did that has 10 times the value, has only about 20 agencies. And then you now come back and say, your client is pricing your offering like Orange. Yeah, because there's 1,000 of you. If you don't accept, we'll go to the next one. Partnership gives you scale. Technology and innovation. I think I've said something about that already. You need technology. I gave the example of the banking industry. You just need technology to create innovation. Structure and governance. Don't do innovation if you don't have a structure about what you are doing already. Innovation is to help you build on what you have, not build on nothing. If you have no base for innovation, if you are not doing what you are doing well now, don't try to innovate. Do you know why? Because sometimes there's more value you get from being taking the current business you have to the best it can be. Because innovation only becomes like a layer of something on that. Let me bring that to life. I told I'll be giving examples of my career. So there was a time I was at Coke, okay? And some of you know the brand. And so we launched, I was actually brand manager at that time. We launched a brand called Fanta Chapman. Okay, Fanta Chapman. It was successful for a time. Somehow it went down. One of the learnings that we took at that time was that the Fanta Orange that was called the mother brand at that time was not healthy enough to put a baby called Chapman on his back. I'm being figurative, but maybe you can understand what I'm saying. Because you were trying to leverage that Fanta as a brand. It had to be solid. So there was competition from Meridian at that time. There was Palace Soda. No, not Palace Soda. Gold Sports. But we needed to strengthen Fanta Orange before putting Chapman on his back to carry. So your base has to be right before you do this. You have to have the structure. Financial discipline. Don't do innovation in a way that 1 + 1 will become 1.5 for you. If it's 1.5, you've just lost money. Why would you be? So there's something that you call incremental business versus replacement business. In a smart world, your innovation should deliver incremental, not replacement. If you launch a new product or you introduce another subsidiary in your business, and it turns out that subsidiary is eating from another subsidiary you already had, such that net you have not grown. You have just been financially indisciplined. I don't know if it's making sense. So the main thing would be that innovation should be incremental on what you have already. Some cases they say incremental to the extent that the new sum that you are getting is more than if you had done the two separately. But you can't launch or do an innovation activity and be worse off for it. Then that's not a good way. You haven't thought through it very well. And lastly, talent management. Okay? Talent management. I think that's right. You have to know what resources you have, what people you have before you do innovation. Next slide. So I'm going to move fast now because this other side I've talked about insight. So all the 6 points there, I've talked about them. They are described in more detail here. Next slide. So I talked about collaboration, partnership. This was when I gave the example of my mother saying, don't go into partnership with people. You need partnership. I talked about technology, making you do things differently, faster, saving costs for you. Next slide. Digital, we talked about that. Next slide. Governance, I've just been talking about that. There's got to be a structure and governance in place. This one I didn't talk about a lot, but it's still in this phase of financial discipline. One of the things that you need to think about that must trigger the need for innovation is cost optimization. If you have a product or a business where your costs are just not manageable, where you just can't find a way to manage costs, think about innovation. Think about what you can take out from the cost. In a time when the economy is so bad, there's only so much fat that you can pass on to the consumer. There's only so much fat in your cost structure you can pass on. They will reject it. So you have to cost optimize. Some people do that cost optimization in a way. I'm going to tell you one. It's a real life case. The owners of the business will not want me to say it. Therefore, I'm not going to mention the name. So they can't sue me. I have good lawyers. But if you know the company that it is, that's your own business. There was a company that had a product. Every time I was passing in traffic, nice product, you will eat it. 100 naira. It was so nice. Put some Coke on it, you are fine. But someday, they decided to move to 150. Everybody, including myself, stop buying it. This one I've been buying for 100 since 150 I can't buy. After about 6 months, they brought it back. Say it's 100 naira you want. we'll give you 100 naira. I started buying. Except that when I opened that thing, first of all, that thing had become so thin. Then there's something that used to be inside that thing. Again, I'm not mentioning anybody's name. There's something that used to be inside that thing. It used to be nice and fat and chubby and it. That thing had become a thread. So body has shrunk. Intestine has disappeared for 100 naira. That is doing cost optimization too much. Let's go to the next slide, please. That's over cost optimizing the thing. So, and then you need to manage talent. You need to also, to be able to do good innovation, know that you have the resources you need. You have the people that have the skills. Where you don't have the people, you can outsource. Where you can't outsource, you can. I always say there are three ways you can get talent. People say it's tough to get talent now. There are 3 ways. And for my own simplicity, I use the 3 Bs. Number 1 is you can build. Build will be the ones that you bring in from young, when they are young management trainees and all of that. You are building. It's a foundation. The second B is you can borrow. When you go out and poach somebody who has already is working in a Access Bank, he's doing well. No, you are buying, you buy. So you buy because you are paying a premium to get it from Access Bank to UBA. You are buying. So you build, you buy. And the third one is borrow. These are the expatriates that you bring and say for 2 years, come and work here, but help me train our people and all that. The problem is that some of them, because they want to stay long, they don't train anybody. So their 2 years turns to 20 years. In fact, when after 20 years, they are supposed to leave, they still sit down, marry a second wife, a third wife. It's not a problem. That's their own problem. But you need the talent that will help you achieve innovation. Sometimes why people get innovation wrong is that they try to force the talent that they have for existing business into innovation. Then what happens is that they either overcook the innovation, which is not good, or they end up having the mainstay business suffering because the people that are supposed to manage that are the same ones that you have shifted onto innovation. Are you understanding me at all? So you have to really be very balanced in terms of how you manage that. Next slide. Next slide. So the culture of innovation, how we bring the culture, because that's also what we wanted me to talk about. How do you embed that culture? Next slide. Next slide. I don't know whether it was Peter Drucker that said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. In other words, your strategy can be good. What you need, especially when it comes to innovation, is the culture where people understand that innovation is needed, they embrace it, and they make it work for the company. Next slide. As a leader, you have to be clear about what you want. Let everybody, clarity, alignment around what the vision around innovation is very important. Performance culture, creating the conditions for them to succeed. Okay, don't deny them of what they need to be able to deliver the innovation. Break barriers, manage change, stay agile, and you have to lead by example. And I'm going to talk about leadership as we close. You have to lead by example. Next slide. Next slide, because we've talked about all this. These are some of the examples of so that it doesn't look like I'm just talking grammar, very successful innovation in my own right. See, there's this one particularly they call M-Pesa. It's in Kenya. Mind-blowing. I was there when Safaricom launched that brand. Mind-blowing. In fact, East African Breweries Limited, that I was managing at that time, was the biggest by market cap in Kenya until they launched this M-Pesa. It just overtook us. Amazing. It's what you call mobile banking, mobile money, where you can do everything through, a telco to reach whoever you want to. Just send money without going through the banking platform and all of that. And they can coordinate, and they have relationships with banks that they can pass that to. Innovation. I've talked about origin. There's some people at that time, they say, when I take a lager, my stomach will be coming out. And I don't want my pastor to know that I'm drinking lager. And when my stomach is showing too much, he'll be asking me, are you drinking beer? I say, okay, in that case, maybe, then some of them started drinking origin. With origin to hide that from their pastor, according to them. According to them. Because same alcohol content, but instead of the fragmentation, it's produced through, what do you call it again? I've done too much marketing these days. You understand? Instead of fermentation, they do it through some other ways. And they claim that innovation, very successful. This Jumia Conga thing is innovation. So if you can now order things in your house and get it delivered to your house, where our parents getting that benefit, it's innovation. There's so much innovation around us that sometimes you don't even notice. And maybe when you're above 50, 60, and you remember how it was when we were younger, maybe some of us will see innovation more than maybe a 20-year-old will see them. Because sometimes some of this innovation is probably 30 years old. They used to, okay, that's the way it's been for a long time. Next slide. There'll be barriers. I'm beginning to wind down gradually, and I will talk about leadership, and that one is story, my experience. One barrier you see, next slide. Change management issues. It's very difficult at times for people to change. There are organization dinosaurs. They will tell you this is the way we do things here. They will tell you, look, who is this small boy, young boy that just come that wants to tell us how to do things? You understand? And the way to do that is to provide coaching, lead them into that. One of the most difficult things I did, origin was tough, but it was easier, was when we were introducing these business systems they call SAP. It was for a manufacturing company, like I was in Guinness at that time. I did in Ghana, then came back to Nigeria. You can imagine what it meant. That instead of carrying 10 grams of something and loading it on the bay and weighing it and then going to pour it something, it was all automated on the screen. You press what you want to produce, Smirnoff. It tells you how many grams of A, B, C, D. It weighs it for you. It drops it in the thing and all of that. Innovation. Some people didn't like that. So you had to manage that. Next slide. I talked about resource constraints. You have to make sure you have the people that can do innovation and still make sure that mainstay business is running well. Next slide. I've talked about organizational dinosaurs. Next slide. Risk aversion. A lot of people are afraid to make mistakes. They don't want to take risks. It's what has led us here. I'll talk about that on leadership. Next slide. So, all roads lead to leadership. I'm going to give you 5 leadership tips that are necessary for innovation. They're about stories of how I try to express those leadership attributes and what they led to. And then I'll close. The first one. Next slide. One of the things killing us in Nigeria generally and businesses is that we try to spread ourselves too thinly. We do too many things at the same time. You know, we do too many things. But sometimes less is more. Less is more. Every one of these 5 things, I'll tell you a story. I think it was around 95, 96. Bubamarua, right, had just been appointed. They used to call them sole administrator, Lagos State then. Maybe some people are old enough to know that. And then Coca-Cola I was with Coke, we were sponsoring a football event at the National Stadium. I'm talking about less is more. And he and my boss then, a white guy, they were just talking. They were not even watching football. So when they finished, I told that man, the man is called Ile Rind, a Scottish man. I said, what were you and the new sole administrator discussing so much that people were not even watching football? I was right behind them. I said, man, that man is the most brilliant Nigerian I have met. Which was insulting for me because I'm Nigerian. Am I not? In fact, on top of that, I work for him. So I said, he's the most brilliant Nigerian he has met. Okay, what did he say? He said he only asked Marwa. I think I met Marwa once. It doesn't probably know that I know him that well. He said he only asked Marwa, now that you are the governor, sole administrator of Lagos State, what are you going to do? Marwa's answer, way back in 96, or thereabout, I still remember. He said, Marwa said, I quote, Lagos has a myriad of problems, and I'm not going to attempt to do all. But 2 that I will do, hopefully Lagosians will remember me for that, for those. He said, number 1, I will fix the roads. Now, the governor before him has said there was no bitumen anywhere in the world. I don't want to mention the man's name. I still remember as I'm standing here. It was another military man. He said, when they say potholes all over, I said, if you see bitumen, bring now. But here's another one saying that I will fix the roads. And then secondly, he said, I will fix security. This was the days they were saying that when armed robbers came to the house, they will sit down, they will ask for you to cook a bar soup and all that. Was that bad at that time? They would tell you that was the story. They would relax, they would go at their time because they were okay. And but somebody said I would do, they said, those are the 2. Believe you me, on my street, I was living in Pedro Road then. It was probably about 2 weeks after my boss told me that, not Marwa, I started seeing them trying to grade the road. And then I started seeing so many areas being graded. Point number one. Secondly, if he talks security, he formed Operation Sweep. I still remember that. I'm talking 96, 97. He said those are the two things I'm going to do. Fast forward, Jonathan administration, years later, they said they would do 14-point transformation. I can't even remember anyone, but I remember the one of 96. Less is more. Second slide. I said 5 leadership things and I'll stop. When it comes to innovation, strategy is important, but it's not as important as execution. Make sure that when you are creating a strategy around innovation, it's as simple as possible. Because remember, you are trying to change people's ways of thinking, of doing things. You cannot complicate their matters. Strategy is not so important. It's important, but execution, making sure the ABC as to what people will do is made clear to them. I tell the second story. I said 5 things. This second one, story with each one. I was moving from being CEO of Guinness Ghana to going to East Africa as CEO. So I was announced in April I was going to start in July. I sent a note to my colleague who was running East African Breweries to say, before I come, can you just send to me your strategy document so that I can be preparing for the 3 months before I join you? Apparently, he passed the word to his strategy director. That one didn't send it. So I called him again. I said, I'm still waiting. He said, oh, sorry. He sent that strategy document. My laptop crashed. It was that heavy. My laptop crashed. Strategy to crash laptop, she into real long. She be strategy ni. I'm telling you a real story. My strategy. So I had to call my IT people, still in Guinness Ghana now, because I was going to go from there to Kenya. They fixed it. I said, I continue to use my law. Unfortunately for me, apparently the strategy director came back from leave and remember that he hadn't sent it. He sent that document again. My system crashed again. He didn't even know that his boss had sent it. I think he just remember, oh my God, the new MD, my new boss is to come. I went on leave 1 week or 2 weeks. He sent it again. So what did I do? When I got there, I put about 1,500 of them in the room. I said, you know what? You people have so much strategy. It's so good that it crashed my system not once but twice. I've got a 3-year contract here. I'm not going to write strategy. We're going to execute what you have. I have to say that, in my opinion, that's been my best 3 years in the corporate world. Let's just execute what you write. Write. PowerPoint, scarf, charts. Sometimes things are much simpler than that. So your strategy is not as good as execution. Third one out of 5, right? You have to learn to inspire ownership. Innovation cannot be seen as is for the technical people or is for marketing people. You cannot see ownership as is for technical people, it's marketing people. You have to find a way as a leader to get, if you're an organization, to get the whole organization to be tuned into that innovation. And in doing that, don't assume at all. Don't assume. I'll tell you a story. This was also from Ghana. We're going to change the bottle of Guinness. Okay? I said that's also innovation. If you are innovating, I said that before, you heard me. And the time they gave me had passed. And I kept asking, how far? Is the custom people. How far is the custom people? How far is the custom people? So one day, I went to meet the logistics person. I said, why is this thing taking so long? Do you need me to call somebody from custom to say? He said, no, it's people in procurement that can say that. We went to procurement. Procurement. Have you not issued the, why is the delay? What's causing it? He said, they won't know. Because we passed all the papers to finance. I said that I took again to finance. I took logistics director to finance director to procurement director. We went to the white man finance director. What is delaying this thing for crying out loud? What is the problem? Oh, we passed it to the director that will sign. So they must have signed that. Oh yeah, follow me. Finance director went to the lady that was supposed to sign, another director. Remember, we're blaming customs. We got to the lady that was to sign the check. Those were the days it was all check. Madam, you have signed the check. Why custom deliver? She said, what check? They didn't pass any check to me. The finance and the lady who was an executive director started arguing. Now said, but how did you pass the check? He said, I gave it to, that was the time we used to have office messengers. Apparently what happened was that when the office messenger went with the check to Madam's office was to sign, the madam was not there. He put it on the table. Madam came from her meeting with all her files, board meeting, put it on that. After that, put it on that. For about 2 months, we're all waiting on custom. Custom did not even have the check yet. I was so ashamed I couldn't tell my guys in London. We had been telling them, customs people. There are many times we blame government for many things. So sometimes we need to look at ourselves in the mirror. We had not even paid customs. And the whole organization, every meeting weekly, what is it? Oh, you know these customs people, these customs people. It was in that room we started checking, and found that the check was right at the bottom of a heap of files. So what I now told them was that there's no ownership. Because if there's ownership, when I pass the baton to you, remember the way people do 4 by 100 meters race. I've never seen somebody who runs first leg and goes to sit down. He's watching, in fact, tiptoeing and hoping, because there's a difference between I've done my task and we've achieved the outcome. Task, outcome. Task is for individuals, outcome is for the company. It's the outcome that we need, not the task. It's the outcome we need. Your task, you completed your task. So procurement, I issued the whatever. Finance, I issued the check. You completed your task, but we didn't get the outcome. Useless. And think about it in your organization. So this is what innovation needs. I learned that at first hand. That everybody has to own it. Own it means that you have to be carrying like a baton until you see that the race is finished. The outcome is got. In fact, if they were wise, before I got up, they should be going around and asking, why hasn't customs delivered this? Before CEO came out to start asking. But everybody I've done my task. I can tell you 1,000 tasks without ownership does not equate to the outcome. That's my experience. Everybody has to own. Next one. I thought I was controlling. Last but one. Consequence management. A lot of us haven't achieved the height we need in business management because you have not been applying consequence management too much. Nigerians are very paternalistic. I even see that in my organization. When somebody is so underperforming, the next thing they want to do is that this person is not good. Let's hire somebody else to be doing the job. But they won't let that person go. It is called compensating structure. You are creating a compensating structure. Compensating means that you are compensating for the lack of competence of somebody. So let me bring somebody else and now sideline him, and I'll be dealing with that person. Problem with that is that the person that is now doing it is now probably doing the work of 2-3 people. One. Secondly, the person that is now overcompensated is also not happy that he's just sitting there, he's not doing anything. Okay? So compensating structure is not good. My GDBL experience, I'll tell you that, Guinness Nigeria here, about consequence management. Somebody is not good, just make the right decision. I was in Badagry on a trade visit. 8 people with me. I had just been appointed MD of Guinness Nigeria. And I was the only one, in fact, that had my writing pad and a pen. The rest were just walking into the outlet like guy boys. You understand me? So I knew that these ones, I'm going to put them in their shoes today. I allowed us to run like 10, 15 outlets. So I just called one of them. I said, hey, remember that woman I mentioned the outlet? What did she say she needed? No. The guy started struggling. There and then, I called HR. I said, this person is not my team. But because I was new, give him a suspension. Suspended about 2 of them. 2 weeks later, I was on a market visit in Calabar. In fact, one of the staff nearly cut my notes with his notebook. He just wanted me to see that he had his note. I said, if you cut my notes, I've seen you carrying your notes. I've seen it. So apparently, when I suspended 2 people in Lagos because of that, what went straight to Calabar, that man that is coming is a madman. Oh. Go and buy your notebook, your paper, because suspended somebody for 2 weeks. Consequence management. You can't see everything from where you are. Look, at MBC, Coca-Cola, when I was commercial director, early in the morning, trucks are rushing out. You think they are rushing to trade. Apparently, there was a woman that was a few meters away selling amala. You will see all the trucks there. You think that it's another depot. With the result that they were coming back with a product unsold because they were wasting time eating amala. So we called all of them consequence management. I said, we now realize that you people eat amala. Fantastic. Amala is good. Eat amala well. But from tomorrow, the last 10 people in performance, the last 10 will have somebody route ride with them. Route ride means that you put a manager or supervisor with them. You know what that means? Supervisor has no time for amala. So from there, so what happened was that even if they had to eat amala, amala. They had to rush the amala, not the way they were doing it. Eat amala, sit down, toast the young lady that is the daughter of the. They were doing all sorts of things. But now, if they had to eat, because once you are top 10, bottom 10, the next day you are going out with somebody, which you don't want. Because even some of the things they might be doing in trade, they don't want the manager to see. So it was important for them to rush out. Later, my mala started looking for me. They said, because even in the amala place, they were fighting about who came first. I said, it's very good. Next slide. So last one. This is our last slide. If you can't take risks, you are not even anywhere close to what I've been talking about. If you can't take risks, you are not close to anywhere what I'm talking about. I say to people, you cannot be CEO of a multinational company by being the most handsome person, the tallest or shortest, or the ugliest, or the whatever. No. There's got to be something extra that you give. And one of those things is your ability to take risks. Sometimes you get it right. Sometimes it's a problem. But you have to learn to take a calculated risk. So I'm going to tell you the story as I round up the last slide. I was in East Africa. Before I conclude, go back so that I can see what I want to talk about. I was in East Africa. We had a bottle called Tusker. Big business. 300 million pounds or something like that in revenue at that time. At that time, 300 million pounds in revenue. I got to East Africa. I looked at the bottle. Very terrible. So I said I was going to change that bottle. All my directors laughed at me. I didn't know what was the purpose of that laugh. But I laughed at because I didn't think I was. They said, when you realize, you make up your mind. Every MD that came before you said the same thing, but they never did it. I said, but why? He said, this is our bread and butter, 300 million pounds. If you do it and it fails, da. I said, please, don't try to. I just advise him, but you are the MDO. You are the MDO. So I called my boss, white man in the UK. I said, I've just seen this bottle. It's so bad. I'm thinking of rebuilding it, renovating it, giving it. You know what the white man said? My good friend. He's still a good friend. He said, is that what you want to do? Well, okay, you are the MD. Now, when your boss tells you that, he's telling you you are on your own. It's as simple. He said, is that what you want to do? You are the CEO. And I realized that I was in the danger zone. I now thought the last person that could help me decide was my wife. So I got home. Real life story. And some of you here, many of you here know my wife. She's Madam Etiquette with Janet. So everything, papa, unlike me, Lagos boy, born and bred in Lagos. Anyway, I made sure I look for the worst, the dirtiest of the bottles. And I waited till she was cooking in the kitchen. And I went to say, babe, what do you think about it? First take it out of the kitchen. I can come and meet you in the sitting room, talk about it. I said, no, I just want to say. He said, what about it? I said, I'm thinking of renovating these bottles. He said, oh, it's a great idea. That doesn't look good at all. I said, but, I've just talked to my boss. He said, what did he say? I said, he basically told me, you're on your own. She said, in that case, be careful. We still have children to train. No. Imagine woman. Gospel truth. That's what she said. We still have, of course, we're talking 2004. She was right. We have little children to train. So I went. I said, Jesus Christ, what am I going to do? But I was so determined. Do you know what I did? I called in people from outside because I didn't trust. I shouldn't say that publicly. I thought that there might be 1-2 people in the team that could sabotage that. I called people from outside. I decided I was going to take on. And I was calculated in the sense that calculated is very important. My calculation came from the fact that I was still young. I thought I was well qualified. I had run Coca-Cola, but I was 30-something when I was MD of Coke in West Africa, based in Ghana. So I thought I would still probably get a job even if they fired me on that, especially if it's not on the back of stealing anything. So I said, let's go ahead. Do you know that when we launched, that it was so successful that it took off like wildfire? In fact, it was so successful. It was the reason that I was given the Forbes CEO of the year in the whole of East Africa that year. In fact, it was based on that. Immediately they were talking about you need to come back and run Guinness Nigeria from East Africa. So sometimes to do innovation, you have to be ready to take a calculated risk. Last slide. I conclude by saying that culture of innovation is a no-brainer. It's not a should I or should I not. It's something that everybody that wants to thrive, not just in Nigeria but globally, must embrace. Next slide. I want to say thank you very much for having me here and congratulations. Congratulations on your management day. And it's good to see a very full room here. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Seni Adetu. Let's put our hands together for him once again. Yes, you will agree with me that the lecture was insightful, was really, really insightful. And the erudition with which it was delivered was really, really sublime. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, let's put our hands together for him. We will take questions from our lecture. So we will want people to please indicate and then ask your question. I am sure I would not join others to call him Mr. Origin. For me, he's the czar of marketing communications. And so we will be taking questions and he will be the one to answer them. Please, if you have any question, indicate by raising up your hand and the microphone will be passed across for us to do that. Thank you so much for your kind understanding. So if you have any questions, please indicate by raising up your hands.
My name is Olayinka Kayode Otutu. I'm from University of Lagos. I just want to thank the lecturer for today. I noticed something. Before now, I've been thinking that to go into innovation, it requires a lot of money or cost to go into it. But I've been watered down today. That at times it doesn't cost anything to go into innovations. I just want to know, sir, are there costs at all? Apart from the fact that there are things you can do without, we can go into innovation without any cost. But are there costs at all, even in our environment? The environment changes from Nigeria to other areas. But in our own environment, we want to go into more innovations. Are there costs at all? And how can we manage such costs? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So remember I said there are so many elements that come under the umbrella called innovation. I said when you are creating new products or services, I said sometimes when you are just improving on current systems, if you identify new opportunities and all of that. So depending on which part of those pillars you are operating from, there could be costs and there may be no costs. I gave the examples of people who just, for instance, needed to innovate by extending the number of operating hours. Maybe you remember that. No cost to do that, more business. But if you are creating a new product or launching a new service, oh yes, I guarantee you that means there will be cost. So the answer is yes and no, depending on that spectrum of what I call innovation, what you can do. Anything that enhances what you do, produces a better result for you, is innovation in that sense. So you create, you identify, you design, you improve, those verbs lead you into what part of innovation you are talking about. So if you are creating, most likely you're going to need. If you're improving, sometimes you may not need the cost. Is that clear? Thank you.
My name is Matthew Asabo. I work for My name is Matthew Asabo. I work for International Chamber of Commerce, Nigeria. Now, you talked about a particular session where an individual does not underperforms, and due to some reasons, they have to just tolerate. Now, they have to bring in somebody else who will now combine the work of maybe 2 or 3. Now, for you that now combines the work of 2 or 3, you understand the kind of stress that comes upon you. So what advice can you give? Because at that particular stage, you are coming with innovation, you are coming with ideas, but you're having people that will tell you, higher than you, telling you this is how it is being done, so you cannot, we have to just follow the path. So you as an individual in that space, how do you go about it? Knowing the kind of challenges that you have around you, and knowing that that also will store your growth if all your ideas is being killed and if you are being labored.
Okay, so there are two different things you are talking about. The first one has to bringing somebody in to compensate for somebody that is not performing well. I told you it's not the right thing and it's bad for any company. You know why? A company should build a structure for the organization. That's what it's called, organizational structure, as against building a structure for a person. So once you have a structure for the organization, each person is supposed to take a position on that structure. There's no place that I know that you put two people on one position in a structure. So my point about not compensating is if one is not performing, whichever way you're going to have to do it, you have to let the person go. Sometimes it's better for them as well. Okay, you take them, some of them blood pressure is hitting the roof. Every time they want to come to the office, they're afraid. Okay, so sometimes it's better for them, but we're so paternalistic, so emotional in what we do. Okay, so that's the one about structure that is not good. Structure is for the organization, not for individuals. You have to put structure before you put individuals in the structure. Is that clear? And as for the one where, thank you. And as for the one where you have better ideas than your boss, let me advise you, don't go and fight your boss in a boxing ring. Go. You understand me? Don't fight your boss in a boxing ring. But let me tell you something. If the organization you work for is a modern organization, I'm going to tell you something now. You go and Google this. What is called skip level. Skip level. Good organizations now have what they call skip level meetings. Skip level meetings means that I meet with my grandchildren in an organization. So your grandfather in an organization is your boss's boss. So it can be grandfather, grandmother. Let's just stick with the man, okay? So if it's a good organization, if your boss is giving you all that problem and all of that, then when they come for skip level meetings, it's skip level because your father is not allowed in the room. It's your boss's boss with the people reporting to your boss. And normally that's meant to be an open session. In the past, when we started doing this skip level, we used to say people should speak. Problem is that before they even leave the room, the boss has heard, because there's one of you out of the 12. They say in every 12 disciples, there's a Judas. So once you are 13 people, so there's somebody there before you leave that he has told the boss, and the boss, in fact, his anger towards you will double as a result of that. But what has happened these days is that people do that in writing. So a wise grandparent will distribute papers, make it anonymous. And by the time 2-3 people are saying the same thing about that boss, a good grandfather will take that as a common theme on which to engage the boss and give the deadline to change, or they apply the same consequence management I was talking about. Is that clear? Thank you. Am I good? No, I'm sorry, Deputy. We just take 1 or 2 more. I need to be in the office for 2 o'clock. I gave that commitment to my team.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Maria Igunjobi from CIPM, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. So my question is, for organizations, you did speak excellently well about how we shouldn't be cultural, how we need to, just take the bull by the horn. So my question is, how do you train people? How do you build a structure where you do not come to an organization because you were the CEO, it was easy for you, you could suspend 2 people. So instead of suspending, from my end, I'm thinking, how do you train people to be able to accept innovation as a culture? And I would really like you shared your, to answer that using your experience. How do you raise people to that extent where they accept innovation and they do not counter it, even whether at the managerial level or at the bottom level, as I would like to call it? That is one. Then number 2 question that I would like to ask is, how do you, I'm a brand and PR analyst. So for that part of innovation that you spoke about the bottle, Truster, and Truscar.
Not Star. Star is my competitor. Don't
Truscar.
put me in trouble.
Truscar.
I didn't say Star. I said Tosca. And if you want to come to
Truscar.
Nigeria, you can talk Guinness. Don't talk Star.
Truscar, you were able to achieve that. So how do organization, someone could have an idea that is excellent and they are, at the junior level. So how do you create a system where you are able to get ideas from every corner, if I would use that? I would really like you to answer that using your experience so far. Thank you.
So quickly, on the first one, as to how you make people to fall in line, A good organization should have what you have heard before. Standard operating procedure. Okay? The SOP is a checklist of things you must do. I'm a Yoruba man. They said, Iluti Osofi, Koseshe. You understand? So nobody can commit a sin or an offense if there's no standard of this is who we are here or this is how we operate here. So the first thing I advise any organization is to have a process. In the case when I suspended the team that went with me in Badagry, and by the way, some of them went to do bigger things because they learned immediately. There was a process that when you are going to the outlet, you go with X, you go with Y. This is what you say when you get to the outlet. This is what you write and all that. So what they did in that situation was they breached the process. So it's not difficult to get people to align to something, but you have to have something they must align to. That makes sense. So that's the thing. Now, in terms of the innovation ideas and all of that, I think the first thing I put on the chart in terms of how to go about it was what I call insights, getting insights. Okay? I mean, in the example I gave, I went to the trade and I told people, what do you think about this bottle? And everybody was saying, Jesus Christ. The only good thing about it is that the beer inside is good. But I hate the bottle. In fact, it's the reason some would say it's the reason that every time they give me, I just pour the bottle, pour the beer, and I keep the bottle under the table. You understand? So there was insight. So as to how to know whether your innovation will work, sometimes intuition is also good. Because somebody says your intuition is your banked knowledge. Because you cannot have the same intuition as a 10-year-old person. You have more intuition because you have experienced things. So sometimes if you don't have the tangible facts, your intuition, but something, either intuition or better still, depending on the size of the innovation, I encourage people to get some insights that will lead to this is the right thing to do or this is not the right thing to do. Thank you. Okay, last question. You didn't pay me as a consultant too. I'm a businessman who. This is one I'm talking like a consultant. Last question, please.
And I think I'll still make you do a little consulting here too. Nice one. You talked about. My name is Akiode Akinkule. Akiode and Co. is a firm of chartered accountant. You talked about price optimization. Cost optimization.
Yes.
And interesting, the example you cited.
Did you work there? I didn't mention a company name.
I had not said that, and I'm not going to say that.
Ah, okay. I wanted to apologize.
Now, in that case, they got their fingers burnt and had to revert back. But
yes.
Can you really highlight indicators that let you know that, see, there is a need to optimize here? Of course, if I listen to you well, it doesn't mean that each time you want to optimize, you have to go up. There are times you might have to come down too. So are there indicators for this? And how do you really differentiate that from just regular rising price?
Okay. So the first thing is that what I was optimizing was cost, not price. And we all know the difference. And the reason I needed to do the cost optimization, and I suspect in their own case too, not I suspect, is that sometimes you are priced at a level that competition is priced much lower than you. And if you don't have what marketers call the equity to carry the premiumness that you enjoy, you will burn your fingers. So for many, many years when I was growing up at Coke was, sorry, photographer, let me see the person I'm talking to. Cameraman. For a long time, when I was working Coke was always premium price to Pepsi. So if you were following them, when one was 10, the other is 15. One was 15, the other is 20. One is 20 to 25. And it was okay because Coke had a better equity. And therefore, there was a value justification in the mind of consumers to say, if it's Coke now, I'll pay 5 naira more. Okay? Now, it gets to a point where that value they place that I call equity on the brand is not enough to attract that 5 naira more. In that case, you start seeing a drop in demand. That's when you should trigger something about what is it that my competitor is doing that they're able to sell at a lower price than me. Because the moment you see that, you want to drop your price. Okay? Now, dropping your price does not mean what those guys did in their case. Because if I was consulting for them, I'll tell them it was the wrong decision. Because the same consumers you are dropping the price for would notice easily, as I did, that the reason you have told me it's not 150 again, is 100 naira, is because you have taken things out. So optimizing is, to the large extent, is more internal than external. You keep the product, same thing like the consumers were going, you work backwards. I have 10 managers on the production line. Can I automate so that I only need 2? I have 10 packers. So it's more internal cost outage than passing the cost to, okay, share is 100 naira they want. I'll give you something for 100 naira. And that's different from what you were giving them for 100 naira before. They're going to walk away as they did in that situation. Again, thank you very much for having me here. I've enjoyed my time here, and I will leave you in good hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sir, before you take your leave, the president and chairman of council want to make a presentation to you, please. And so I want to humbly invite the president and chairman of council to make a presentation while Madam Registrar is here. Please, could you come up? Could you come up, please?
Our wonderful audience, you will agree with me that Mr. Sheni Adetu is the master of the subject he was asked to handle. If you recall my speech, I said, when I looked at his profile, I knew he was adequately prepared to tackle that topic we gave to him. We had all the confidence that he was going to do great justice to that paper. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation. We have gained a lot, and your mode of presentation made it so friendly to everyone. You demystified, the mystery of innovation. A lot of people are so afraid of innovation. Like you said, they think it's very expensive, it's a no-go area, but you made it so easy, so simple for everyone to appreciate it. Thank you for making us better businessmen and women. And we are very sure that when we get back home, we are going to put into practice what we've learned today, and our businesses will be better for it. Thank you, sir. I make this presentation on behalf of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered to you, Mr. Sheni Adetu, MNIM, as the guest speaker at the 2024 Management Day. Today, Tuesday, 19th November 2024. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Please, our fellows elect, I will call you and then you come out here so that the process will happen once and for all. Akim Bile Talabi Omobolanle Elizabeth. Alabi Kolade David. Alabi Kolade David. Amedu Samson. Amedu Samson. Awago Thomas Chukwemeka. Awago Thomas Chukwemeka. Ekesili Kenneth Ayobamchi. Ekesili Kenneth Ayobamchi. Hassan Abdulaziz. Hassan Abdulaziz. Igodalo Itua Olajide. Igodalo Itua Olajide. Ishi Guzo Uchechukwu Precious. Ishi Guzo Uchechukwu Precious. Jega Ngozi Theresa. Jega Ngozi Theresa. Nwosu Antonia Nneka. Nwosu Antonia Nneka. Obadino Jamiu Walola. Obadino Jamiu Walola. Odedino Fumilayo Kazim. Odedino Fumilayo Kazim. Odeyale Irelola Marian. Odeyale Irelola Marian. Ofili Helen Nkechi. Ofili Helen Nkechi. Okeowo Olutoyin. Okeowo Olutoyin. Oki Laila Morenike. Oki Laila Morenike. Onyechi Ikechukwu. Onyechi Ikechukwu. Robert David Owade. Robert David Uwade, and Sanusi Samuel Adeshola. Sanusi Samuel Adeshola. Thank you. Please, is there anyone here whose name have not been mentioned? Is there anyone I have not mentioned his or her name, please? Fakai, please don't. Fakai, patience. Fakai, patience, Mrs. Thank you. Thank you so much. Could you just be careful there? Yes.
The Deputy President, the National Treasurer, our past presidents and council members present here and participating virtually. I want to present these men and women who have been found worthy to be awarded this prestigious grade of fellowship of the Nigerian Institute of Management. The tradition of upgrading members to fellow cadre started in February 1963, when the first 3 fellows of the Institute were elected and inducted. The process of upgrading members to fellow has always been meticulous. And that is why only those deserving of the award get honored yearly. We had a program in August where we conferred this award to quite a number of members that were considered worthy to be upgraded. I congratulate all of you joining the esteemed and exalted grade of fellow today. To be found worthy for fellows upgrade is a great honor and privilege. I am duty bound to point out that fellowship upgrade is not an end in itself, but rather a call to higher responsibility and service to the Institute. I therefore charge you, the recipients, not to be satisfied with just adding the appellation FNIM to your names. Starting from today, each of you is required to devote more of your time, your talent, your treasure, and thinking to the service of the Institute, the profession, and the nation. Kindly avail the Institute your competencies and specializations when the need arises. In order for the Institute to take advantage of fellows' professional competencies, they have been classified into faculties, which include leadership and governance, technology and communication, education and social development, finance and accounts and management audit, planning, economics and management, and safety, health and environment management. The faculties are expected to identify issues and challenges in areas related to their disciplines and propose studies of such issues with a view to making policy recommendations to government via the Institute's Public Policy Advocacy Initiative. Like the old fellows, everyone being upgraded today will be duly informed of their faculty. Let me say that you've done quite well for yourselves. The minimum period you can spend as a full member to qualify to be a fellow of the Institute is 10 years. And for you to have stayed as full members for 10 years and more, that shows your determination, your resilience, and your total commitment to the cause of the Institute. We are really proud of you, and we welcome you into the fold. Thank you very much for this. But before you are admitted, you have to take this fellowship oath. And I want everyone to be committed. Make sure you read it after me. I'll be watching your lips to be sure that you're committed to this cause. Please, our beautiful audience, if you see anyone that's not talking, point the person out. But I'm sure they did quite a lot to get to this level. And I know they have shown enough interest and commitment to the cause of the Institute. So you say this after me. When I say I, you mention your names, please. I do solemnly swear and affirm that as a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered, I will discharge my professional service to the best of my ability and in accordance with the Code of Conduct of the Nigerian Institute of Management and the law, by always putting service above self and seeking efficiency and always making daily professional decisions scrupulously on the basis of honesty, integrity, responsibility, accountability, equity, fairness, effectiveness, transparency, and ethical processes in accordance with universal best practices and corporate governance standards, that I will strive to preserve and promote the mission and ideals of the Nigerian Institute of Management as a prime driver of management standards and values in all ramifications, and a veritable change agent in strategic transformation as a good professional model. So help me God. So I'm going to read the admission statement. By the authority of the Council of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered, I, as the President and Chairman of Council, hereby admit you severally to the prestigious grade of Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered, and direct that your names be included by the registrar in the Register of Fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered. Congratulations. Please, I will request respectfully the Deputy President, the National Treasurer, and our dear past President, our own Asiwaju, Dr. Olawale Cole, to join us here and decorate these new fellows.
Akinbile Talabi, Omobolanle Elizabeth. Amedu Samson. Amedu Samson. Awagu Thomas. Thomas Awagu. Ekesili Kenneth. Pakai Patience. Azan Abdulaziz. Okay. Jega Ngozi. Okay. Nwosu Antonia. Nwosu Antonia. Obadino Jami Waliola. Odedino. Okay. Okay, Olutoyin. Can we have the darling? Onyechi Nkechukwu. Okay. Allow madam the other the ladies. No. There's one in. Robert Owade. Okay.
Go down. I like go down now.
Sanusi Samuel Adeshola. Thank you very much, sir. Find them. They kept it aside so that people. Please, fellows, stay back, please. New fellows, please stay back. New fellows, please stay back so you take a group picture with Madam President. Yes, please. Oh, you're not in the center. Be somewhere. Okay. What would make it? Where is it? Oh, you're not.
Can they up this light? You can press the background.
Background light, please. Please put it off so that the picture can come out nice.
This song is dedicated to Fela Anukulako Kuti, musical Taliban, #1. And if you're new in the game, make you go pay your tithes. Ẹ̀sìn tó ṣíwájú ṣe gómìnà la fi jọba. Ó ṣe ní lélẹ́ déédéé, when I am making my money. Almost come to Malaysia, from Malaysia to Miami. Ayé, ẹ má lọ fọṣẹ́ níbi o, ìbàlẹ̀ ẹ̀ spend my money anyway I like it o. No more name me, Mr. Tokutoku, and everybody. Abeg go stop am o, na dem judge o, and the owner of dem body. But say you dey take care, dey hate me. When I dey hustle for my money, almost come to Malaysia. You don see the matter now, you don give me your mind. Ayé, ẹyẹ máa fọṣẹ́ yìí ni o. If I like I spend my money anyway, I like it o. Don't come near me, Mr. Tokutoku, and if you don't see me, you go chop toku. Many, many things happen for ojú ẹlẹ́wà. Scammer dúró dé, and if you do anyhow, they lọ́wọ́ ṣá ẹlẹ́wà. Àbí you find yourself inside Surulere. You wan go see my.
Can we please settle down so we can continue with the program, please? We are waiting for us to please settle down so we can continue. Thank you very much. Please, let's settle down. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, last week we had the concluding part of our Young Managers Competition, and with us here today is our winner and our first runner-up. The Young Managers Competition is a competition held in the Institute for young managers that are within the age of 25 and 40. It is held nationwide, and after a series of tests, series of presentations, we had our winners come to Lagos, and last week here in Lagos, we had our first runner-up and our winner. And with us here this morning, we have the winner of the 2024 Young Managers Competition, Mrs. Ihuoma Lemachi Kanife. Can you please come up? And the first runner-up, Mr. Oluwapelumi Andrew Eseola. So they're here today for presentation of plaques, which is going to be done by Mrs. President.
I am very elated. I am really, really proud to stand before you today to make this presentation to these young managers who did us proud a couple of days ago, specifically on Wednesday, the 13th of November, 2024. We had a keenly contested program to get the best young managers in Nigeria. About 150 of them applied, and at the end, we were able to get 9 of them who made it to the final. Incidentally, 5 of them had to compete because after the last exercise, before the actual competition, 4 were eliminated, and then we had 5 of them left. And out of the 5, very intelligent young men and women, we had 3. The second runner-up, the first runner-up, and the overall winner. But honestly, when we listened to them on that day, we saw young men and women who were ready to take the world by storm. These young people brought to bear their managerial skills, their competencies, and in fact, their mode of presentation gave this country hope for the future. I believe very strongly that we have a cream of leaders in this country. All they need is the right mentorship. All they need is people to inspire, motivate, and encourage them to be the best they can be. Today, I want to make a presentation to Mr. Oluwakwe Lumi Eshola, who is the first runner-up at that competition. Mr. Eshola, I listened to you like every other person who was there. The judges found you worthy to take the second place. And you did quite well. We are really proud of you. Like I told you that day, I said, it doesn't matter your position. All you need to realize is that you have all it takes to be the best manager in this country. Congratulations. And this is your award. You know, we promised we're going to give you 1.5 million naira as your award. And this is the check. Congratulations. And this beautiful girl, I describe as brain and beauty. When I watched her on that day and I listened to her, there was this feeling I got. This feeling of satisfaction that we have come to this world and we've been able to raise a generation that will step into our shoes when we disengage. We're so proud of this young lady. We were all held spellbound when she started her presentation. I wish we had the opportunity for her to repeat that presentation here. But for those who missed it, I will request the Institute to just put it on our platform or our portal so that people who missed it will watch her. Ihoma, you did so well. And to believe that you're already married at this age, and you have a child at this age, then you have everything working for you. Congratulations. Did you come with your husband? Please, can you... Where is he? And after this presentation, please, I would like to see your husband. And this man that has allowed this girl to express and grow. You see, the problem we have as women is that when we are doing well, if we are not very lucky, our husbands see us as threats. And they try to bring us down. But I've seen a man who has encouraged his wife to excel. So I really, really want to give it to that man Thank you very much, our dear husband, for allowing your wife. Oh, he's the cameraman. Please come. You are not going to be a part of this presentation. You wait for us, but let me use this opportunity to showcase you. Please come up. Come up. I think the secret of this lady's success is you. Because you could as well have asked her not to bother. Why are you leaving a little boy? What is all this competition about? You sit at home, the place of the woman is the home and the other room. But no, our dear young husband did not think that way. Thank you very much. I think other young men should take a cue from him and encourage their wives to excel. Congratulations. So let me make this presentation. You can just stand there. And that little baby that has brought you this luck, you know, there are some children who come into your family and they bring you great luck. So this is one of those children. So congratulations. So I make this presentation to you today. I think it should be the other way around. I make this presentation to you today, Mrs. Ihoma Kanife, for emerging the overall winner of the 2024 Young Managers Competition, which took place on the 13th of November 2024. Congratulations. We promised you a check. We promised you an award of 2 million naira. And this is the check. Ihoma, please can you come up so that the Deputy President and the National Treasurer, who were not there, will snap with us. You wait. Deputy, please. Treasurer, please. Our past President, please, with due respect, please come. And let's honor these ones. Thank you.
People done the ask. Now we see Baba do the Yeah, the Baba do well for me. Now my life is come better. Not because I suffer fast, not because I pray and fast. No be your show, no be that. I'm watching. Hey, Osinachi, I'm no one. Osinachi, one name, Osinachi, I'm watching. Hey, Osinachi, mama, Osinachi, Osinachi, I'm watching.
Yes, congratulations. Congratulations to our fellows. Congratulations to the young managers, champions. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the next item on our program. But before I do that, I just want to inform you there are exhibitors, after the hall. So whatever you want to buy, your phone, your laptop, dress, whatever it is, please go and patronize them. And by NIM's intervention, it is at a rate that is less than what happens in the market. Okay? Now, the next item on the agenda is response by one of the awardees. And the person to do this is no other than Mrs. Patience Fakai, FNIM. Please, let's put our hand together as she walks to the rostrum to respond, make her remark on behalf of other fellowship awardees.
The President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Mrs. Christiana Atako, the Deputy President, Commando Ambimbola Ayuba, the Registrar and Chief Executive and Secretary of Council, Mrs. Tairo Olushesi, Chairman Board of Fellows, Dr. Umar Mustafa, distinguished guests, esteemed members of the Nigerian Institute of Management, and fellow professionals, good afternoon. I stand here on behalf of my fellow awardees to make this brief remark. We are deeply humbled and honored to receive this prestigious fellowship award from the Nigerian Institute of Management. This recognition is not just a personal achievement, but also a testament to the tireless efforts, unwavering support of our colleagues, mentors, and loved ones. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Institute for this esteemed award. Your commitment, I mean the NIM, to promoting excellence in management practices and leadership development is truly commendable. This award serves as a beacon of inspiration, motivating all of us, the awardees, to continue striving for excellence in our respective professional pursuits. We are indeed proud to be part of a community that values knowledge, sharing, collaboration, and continuous learning. This fellowship award reinforces our dedication to upholding the highest standards of professionalism and integrity. Once again, we thank the Nigerian Institute of Management for this distinguished honor. We look forward to contributing meaningfully to the Institute's objectives and working collaboratively with fellow members to advance the field of management in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that was Mrs. Patience Fakai, Commissioner, Business Innovation and Technology, Kaduna State. Let's put our hands together once again for her. That was precise but direct to the point. On this note, I will want to invite the Deputy President of the Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered, Commodore Abimbola Ayuba, FNIM, for his remarks before we go to the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, sir. Please, let's encourage him. Let's put our hands together.
The President, Chairman of Council, Nigerian Institute of Management Chartered, in person of Dr. Chief Mrs. Christiana Atako, the National Treasurer, the CEO, Registrar, Mrs. Taiwo Luchesi, our most esteemed past president, Asiwaju Dr. Michael Olawale Cole, other distinguished council members, our dear fellows, newly inducted fellows, distinguished members of the Institute, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon once again. Good afternoon once again. Today is another milestone in the life of the Institute, and it has clearly been demonstrated at today's Management Day. It is clear that NIM is moving in leaps and bounds, and we are poised for greater achievements through your support and cooperation, and through the synergy that we are able to create as a body. Principally, I want to speak to the newly inducted fellows that your job has just begun, because you are the engine that drives the train of management excellence. We look up to you to present yourself as mentors to those members, graduate members, who will be in your various chapters, to avail yourselves to them, support them, mentor them, and encourage them, just as has been demonstrated by the two winners of the Young Management Managers Competition. It implies that tomorrow is brighter for NIM. Once again, I want to congratulate you all. The young managers, particularly, can see smiles on their faces. It's not easy to hold a check of 1.5 M, even as terrible as Nigeria economy is, and 2 M, respectively. It will be better in the future for the next set of young managers. For our fellows, congratulations. It is very beautiful to see yourself wearing the most prestigious medallion in Africa. Congratulations once again, and thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. If you observed, he was checking his time, and that reminds me of what Major General Usifo said on the day of YMC, synchronization of time. So they are straight to the point and timely. The next item on the agenda is vote of thanks. But before I do that, please, I just want to remind us, the YMC sponsorship form is outside, especially for corporate organizations, companies, and institutes that want to sponsor next year's edition. Okay? And you can make a pledge, and what we'll do is to follow up and make sure you deliver on your promise. We will not follow you as politicians, but as corporate and a corporate organization who will do that with courtesy. Okay, and then there are other things, NIM programs. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to welcome Mrs. Taiwo Ganiyat Olushesi, MNIM, Registrar, Chief Executive, Nigerian Institute of Management, for her vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, MC. Madam President and Chairman of Council, our Deputy President, our National Treasurer, and our esteemed past presidents, our newly inducted fellows, other fellows in the House, members of different chapters, ably represented, and of course, friends of NIM, and our virtual attendees. On behalf of the President and the Council, and all the staff of NIM, I want to render appreciation for being part of today's Management Day. We we became innovative, even though the speaker said we still need to innovate. I know, I agree. We had some glitches with the internet the other time, and we will continue to innovate and renovate. For the first time, we brought the management day outside the management house because we want to bring it to managers beyond the island. And we hope, thank you very much, ma'am. We hope that next year is going to be better. Because if you've been attending NIM programs since the beginning of this year, under the leadership of Madam President and the current council and the management, we have decided to start thinking like there is no box. We did it with our Fellows Day, we had it with our WIM lead. Even our conference for this year was superlative. And then council approved that we should expand the Young Managers competition. And it became a summit. We had a panel session. It's more or less gravitating towards a reality show now. And we hope that next year, all of us in this room will partner with us to give young managers hope, to let them know that there's hope for Nigeria. And that's why we designed that form. It's not just about financial partnership now. It may be as a judge, it may be as connecting us to people who can actually sponsor Young Managers Summit, because we have to consciously build the future. So I want to implore us that we pick up that form. Like I said, it's not about financial commitment alone. Please, let's talk, partner with us so that next year's Young Managers Summit will be better. And then for the Management Day, Madam President mentioned, it is our hope that federal government of Nigeria will recognize today as Management Day. And then United Nations will also do that. I mean, if there can be days for things that are so insignificant, I don't want to mention them. I think management is at the core of global economy. And so it should have its own special day that will be recognized globally. A lot of our chapters and branches are also celebrating Management Day today. Yanagua chapter had a road walk today. So many other chapters are also having Management Day lectures from today up until the end of the year. So it's not just about the national body. We will be coming to you, people who have influence, who can help us to talk to governments so that this day can be recognized. We've started the move. Our past presidents have been helping us, but we need more push. And we will come knocking very soon. So on behalf of the President and Council, I want to thank you once again. And we hope that when we come calling again for you to attend any of our programs, you would oblige us. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Our distinguished ladies and gentlemen, would like to say a very big thank you for joining us for 2024 Management Day. We look forward to seeing you in the Institute, in our activities, and next year. Have a good afternoon.